Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Shri Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopi Kante Radha Kante Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की जय.
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna everyone.
Jai Hare Krishna everyone.
Hare Krishna Tarun.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna. All right, so we'll get started with the Srimad Bhagavatam. हम लोग श्लोक 40th पढ़ रहे हैं from अध्याय 5th canto 3. या तो जैसा कि हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं, ऋषि मैत्रेय is explaining to Mahatma Vidur about the whole transcendental science, and also the transcendental eternal nature, right? Sachidanand of Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. तो जैसे कि हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे कल इस श्लोक में we saw how everything gets manifested. So जो पंच तत्व है, जो 5 elements जो है, आकाश, वायु, अग्नि, जल and prithvi. Yeah. So how it all starts. So first the sky from the sound, right? Once the Supreme Lord glances, then from the sky with the glance from Supreme Lord with the eternal time and the external energy, we get Vayu. Yeah. And the sky is represents sound, then the Vayu represents the touch. And then from sky and the Vayu, and then we get Agni, which represents form. And then from there we get Jal, which represents taste, and then we have Prithvi, which represents Sugandh. So Sugandh, but everything else plus Sugandh, right? So this is how the whole hierarchy is. So that's what Maitreya Muni is explaining, and then he's saying that all those elements are controlled by the controlling demigods, right? And then all those demigods are extension of Lord Sri Vishnu. Yeah. So all the demigods are extension of Lord Sri Vishnu, as like every living entity is. So what happens is when those and all the demigods are present, initially they are not able to understand how to manage all those elements and how to manage the universe. When they are not able to understand that, then they start praying to Lord Sri Vishnu, Lord Sri Krishna. Okay. So what we are reading now is what Maitreya Muni is telling to Mahatma Vidur, the prayers done by all the demigods, all the devatas, which are the controlling deities. Okay. So yesterday we read Shlok 40, but we'll restart with Shlok 40. So Rasiksham Prabhuji, आप पढ़ेंगे.
धातः यतस्मिन् भव ईश जीवा तापत्रयेन भीतान् शर्मः आत्मलभन्ते भगवान् स्वाग्निः छाया सविद्याम आश्रय येमा. O Father, O Lord, O Personality of Godhead, the living entity in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the 3 kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, and we also thus take shelter of them.
Yeah. So we also thus take shelter of them. Who is saying this? who is speaking here? We also thus take shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. Who is saying this? So who is doing this prayer, right? Who is praying to Lord Shri Krishna right now? Yeah, so yesterday this was all the controlling demigods of all the Akash, Vayu, Jal, Agni, right? So all the Panch Tattva elements, the controlling deities are praying to Lord Shri Krishna. What are they saying? Chayam savidyamat asrayema. So your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, we take shelter of them. Yeah? You able to hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is a very nice purport which you are going to read. Now that which is Mr. Soham today. Soham. Hare Krishna.
The way of devotional service is neither sentimental nor mundane. It is the path of reality by which the living entity can attain the transcendental happiness of being freed from the three kinds of material miseries. Miseries arising from the body and mind, from other living entities, and from natural disturbances. Everyone who is conditioned by material existence, whether he be a man or beast or demigod or bird, he must suffer from adhyatmika, bodily or mental, adhibhatika pains, those offered by living creatures, and adhidvika pains those new supernatural disturbances. His happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditioned life, but there's only one way he can be rescued, and that is by accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's actually so much mentioned in this paragraph, right? What it says is,
प्रभु आपको सुन नहीं पा रहे हम लोग.
वीरेंद्र आप म्यूट पे हो.
okay. Yeah, somehow it got muted. Yeah, there was some internet connection issue again, but hopefully it goes fine now. You can hear me now clearly, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry for that. So, there's so much mentioned in this paragraph. Basically, it's talking about the three kinds of material miseries, which we are looking at, right? See, in the shlok, it says by the three kinds of miseries. Now, what are those three kinds of miseries produced by? One is arising from the body and mind, right? So our own body and mind, right? The misery is arising. The other one is from other living entities. So as we know, like all the other living entities, always generating those miseries. And then from natural disturbances, right? Like Prabhu was just describing, right? The cyclone and all that. So those are the three kinds of material miseries. Now, what it says is that everyone who is conditioned by those material existence, and we are all conditioned, right? We are all conditioned souls by the material existence. So then it doesn't matter whether it's a man or even demigod. Okay, even devatas, they have to suffer from this. So the first one is called adhyatmika, bodily or mental pain. The adhibhotika, bhotic pains are offered by living creatures, and adhidevika is due to supernatural natural disturbances. So those are the three kinds of miseries. Everyone has to struggle. Yeah, and what we are trying to do is gain the happiness. But what is our happiness? And we know this is a fact. All of us know this is a fact, that our happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to really get free from all these miseries of conditional life, isn't it? Every time we are trying to look for happiness and be happy. But what it is saying is, it doesn't matter what we are doing. The only way to be rescued is by accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what even Devatas are saying, that we need to take shelter of them. Yeah, Chayam sa vidyamat asriyam. So that is why this paragraph is so much important. Let's continue reading this. Rinaji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. The argument that unless one has proper knowledge, one cannot be freed from material miseries is undoubtedly true. But because the lotus feet of the Lord are full of transcendental knowledge, acceptance of his lotus feet completes that necessity. We have already discussed this point in first canto 1.2.7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayate Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahitukam. There is no want of knowledge in the devotional service of Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. He, the Lord, personally takes charge of dissipating the darkness of ignorance from the heart of a devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Another such an important point here, right, is generally the argument which most of the people will say, right, is that we need to have proper knowledge to get free from the material miseries. We all know that the knowledge of science and medicine and the nature is not going to stop any of those miseries, right? If the cyclone comes, it's going to come, right? Here, the knowledge which it is referring to is the knowledge of the Vedas and Purans. So if you look at those knowledge, even that knowledge, right, is what it's saying is required probably to get free from the material miseries. But the important point mentioned here is, because the lotus feet of the Lord are full of transcendental knowledge. So when we surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, it's already full of transcendental knowledge. We don't need anything else. Acceptance of his lotus feet completes that necessity. Yeah. So we don't need to really read all the Vedas and Purans. We read Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a compilation of all the Vedas and Purans, and it completes the necessity of getting the transcendental knowledge. And once, because he, the Lord, personally takes charge of dissipating the darkness of ignorance from the heart of a devotee. So as we chant constantly, as we read, we are already getting so much knowledge, it will constantly dissipate the darkness of ignorance. Sorry guys, today I think the internet is not behaving properly. Are you able to hear me again?
Jayendra-ji?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Now it's okay, but the voice is dragging. It could be that we all have maybe video on and maybe there's causing load on the internet to stream back and forth.
Yeah, I think sometimes it happens. I don't know. It like sometimes it's just a problem. I think we should be fine. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We'll see. So let's read this, Sachin. Sachin, can you hear me?
He confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. He confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam tama yena mama upayanti te. Empiric philosophical speculation cannot give one relief from the three of our knowledge without devoting oneself to the Lord is a waste of valuable time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sachin. Thank you. So what it's saying really, so we saw those three threshold miseries of material existence. Yeah, the threefold miseries. We saw how those can be caused. With common sense, we see that all the time. But doing the philosophical speculation is not going to give the relief. Yeah, and so don't waste your valuable time is what is the recommendation. Ravi? Ravi, can you read?
Marganti yate mukha padya nide chand. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Marganti yate mukha padya nide chand superna rishiyo vivitte yasma gam shord dasari dwaraya padam padam tirtha pada prapanna. The lotus feet of Lord are by themselves the shelter of all the places of pilgrimage. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest of your lotus-like face. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of the best of the rivers, the Ganga, which can deliver one from all the sinful reactions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So all the devatas are praying to Lord Sri Vishnu, right? And is saying, Padam Padam Tirt Pada Prapannaha, right? The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all the places of pilgrimage. And again, it's a very beautiful purport. So we are going to read Shivam. Shivam, can you read?
Yes, but okay. Since the Lord is the original source of all emanations, intelligent persons enlightened by Vedic knowledge seek the shelter of the Lord, just as birds who leave the nest again search out the nest to take complete rest. All Vedic knowledge is meant for understanding the Supreme Lord, as stated by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Vedais che sarvayar eva vedya. Intelligent persons who are like swans take shelter of the Lord by all means and do not hover on the mental plane by fruitlessly speculating on different philosophies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? No point in speculating and wasting time on different philosophies. Anilji?
Yeah. The Lord is so kind that He has spread the river Ganges throughout the universe so that by taking bath in that holy river, everyone can get release from the reactions of sins which occur at every step. There are many rivers in the world which are able to evoke one's sense of God consciousness simply while one's bathing in them. And the river Ganges is chief amongst them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajay? Ajay? Shivam, can you read?
In India, there are 5 sacred rivers, but the Gangas is the most sacred. The river Gangas and the Bhagavad Gita are chief sources of transcendental happiness for mankind, and intelligent persons can take shelter of them to go back home, back to Godhead. Even Shripada Sankaracharya recommends that a little knowledge in Bhagavad Gita and the drinking of a little quantity of Ganga's water can save one from the punishment of Yamaraja. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, right? So the reason we read this paragraph is even Shankaracharya ji have recommended it's a little knowledge in Bhagavad Gita and the drinking of a little quantity of Ganga Pani, Ganga Jal, can save one from the punishment of Yamraj. That's why if you see like in our religion, right at the end, people want to get Tulsi and Ganga Jal, right? Ajay?
Sure. Yatra यच्छ्रुद्या श्रुतवक्त्या या भक्त्या समज्यमाने हृदय वधाय ज्ञानेन वैराग्य बलेन धीरा वजेम ततय गृहसरोज पीठम. Simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge, and on the strength of detachment, one becomes pacified. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Again, who is saying this? We must take shelter. Who is saying this? Who is praying this?
Maitreya Rishi.
Demigods.
All the demigods, right?
Oh, I see.
All the demigods who control all the elements, all these 5 elements, right? And devatas, they are right now praying to Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Sri Vishnu, yeah? And they are saying, they are requesting, what are they saying is, simply by hearing about your lotus feet, yeah? Like, Shrutvatyaya Bhaktya, like with bhakti and devotion, eagerness and devotion, yeah? And by meditating upon them within the heart, Hridaye Avadhai. What happens when you are doing that Shravan Kirtan, meditating on Lord Sri Krishna's feet? What's happening is Jnanena Vairagya Balena Dhira. One at once becomes enlightened with knowledge. Yeah, the knowledge comes by itself. And then on the strength of the knowledge, what happens is the detachment one becomes specified. Yeah, Vairagya Balen Dhira. That's what it means. And so, what should happen? Vrajem tate agri saroj pitham, which means we must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet, is what all the devatas are praying right now. Yeah. What says the miracles of meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord with eagerness and devotion are so great that no other process can compare to it. Yeah. Read one more shlok, Tarun. Tarun.
Vishwasraya Janma. Yeah. Can you hear me? Vishwasraya Janma Sthiti Samyamarte Kratawatarasya Padamabhujam Te Vajem Sarva Saranam Yatisha Smrita Pratyashya Bhava Sapupu Samaha. O Lord, you assume incarnations for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. And therefore, we all take shelter of your lotus feet because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We always take shelter of your lotus feet. Vrajem Sarve Shanam Yadesha. Right? Because Smritam Prayachate Bhayam Sapunsa. Like basically, because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. So let's just read the first 4 lines here. Reenaj.
For the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestations, there are 3 incarnations: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, Lord Shiva. They are the controllers or masters of the 3 modes of material nature, which cause the phenomenal manifestation. Vishnu is the master of the mode of goodness, Brahma is the master of the mode of passion, and Maheshwar is the master of the mode of ignorance.
Hare Krishna. Right. So actually we saw, right, how the 3 modes of goodness, ignorance, and patience comes, and then we see how the all 5 elements come, and we have the controlling deity of those 5 elements, and also all the Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Lord Vishnu, right, is the master of goodness, Satogun. Lord Brahma is of Rajogun, patience, and Lord Shiva is the master of mode of ignorance. So this is how you have all the Lord Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and all the other deities, right? So we are going to stop here since we only have 1 minute left. but it's a long weekend. You know, I mean, we take a long weekend, right? So, you know, we'll see you back on Monday. So have a nice weekend, right? And then we'll see you back on Monday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maya.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna